Potential seller.
Okay.
Approaching a potential seller.
Okay, so I'm selling, or
You're buying.
I'm buying. Give me some more parameters. Buying what? Where? When?
I'll do my scenario. You're buying I want $20 million for a brewery.
So you're buying from a guy that has a $20 million brewery?
Yeah. Yep.
Or you're selling the breweries now?
No, you're buying. You're the buyer. Your imaginary person is the seller.
Okay, they're the seller.
Yeah. I mean, it's a $20 million brewery, well known regionally, but not nationally. What other parameters do you want? Number one.
Okay. How long has it been on the market? Who owns it? Is it had a previous private equity investment? Has it got any depths, as they say?
Not on the market. You're approaching them cold. I mean, you call them up, say, hey, I'm interested, coming down to talk to you about...
You're not being introduced by some lying broker?
No, you may be introduced by their accountant, who says,
so that's better.
These guys are interested, or I've heard that they want to get out, or they want to liquidate some stuff. I'll introduce you.
Is this a total purchase, or they want to sell a minority stake, majority? You don't know.
That's what you're going in to find out.
Okay.
You're figuring out what they really want.
And you're doing this eyeball to eyeball. Yeah. Okay. You make an appointment. Actually, he's made it a little easier because I don't have to get to gatekeepers, etc. But I got to whoever that was, and I'm there in some place in wherever they have breweries, and they're going to come out and meet me in the foyer. Hi, Mr. Jones will be with you in a minute. I say thank you very much. Blah, blah, blah. They bring me into a boardroom if they have one, or his office, and you go through the very preliminary formalities. Now, all the way into the building, I'm looking at everything on all the walls. Okay. Does he have Little League pictures? Does he have Army pictures? Does he have skiing pictures? Does he have pictures of old people and young people? Old people probably are his parents. Does he have pictures of his kids? I'm scanning all this, and I'm putting it in my data bank. I'm looking at, does he have antique furniture? Does he have new furniture? Is it a Kia? Kia makes modern furniture? Yeah. So what is it? Does he have linoleum on the floor? Does he have carpet on the floor? Does he have modern lights? Does he have energy lights, saving lights? Okay, or does he just have old fucking things that suck up energy? Does he have solar panels on the building? I'm looking at all this shit. And now you can see this shit on Google Earth. You can put an address in. You can get a lot of information. Is he leasing the building? Is he own it? If he owns it, how you will have gotten this information before you got there. How long has he owned it? How old is the brewery? How is the brewery in certain parts of the world? You can figure out. You can find out. Is it a C corp? Is it an LLC? Litigation. How much litigation do they have? Do they have any litigation? If they had litigation, did they win? Did who represented him in the litigation? Was it Joe Schmaltz from Eureka? Esquire, who's getting ready to be disbarred? Or is it Sussman Guthrie, the king toppler, Steve Sussman? Who are their accountants? If you got introduced by accountants, you know who their accountants are. So you ask the accountants who are their lawyers, their regular lawyers, not just their litigation lawyers. So by the time I go in, I know what hand he wipes his ass with. And now it is easy because of the internet. It's easy. Okay, now I'm walking down the hall. I'm looking for these pictures, awards. He's got the Brewer of the Year in 2011, 12, which is also on the internet. So they bring me into his boardroom. I say he's got a boardroom, a small boardroom. I'm looking again. They'll have shit on the walls. Do they have real art or pretend art? Is it Art Deco? I mean, all this stuff means something. Now, is it real China they serve you coffee in, or is it, plastic cups? Or the spoon that you put the sugar lump with, is that silver, aluminum, or aluminium, as they say here? What is it? Okay, are the people in the office dressed in jeans and T-shirts, or do they have the women? Do they have skirts or little business suits or whatever? All this means something where he's coming from. Okay. Part of the background that I'd look up is the owner or are the owners, did they come up the brewery ladder? In other words, did they work in breweries, yada, yada? Or is this an accountant that decided in retirement from PwC he's going to buy a brewery because he always wanted a brewery? And there's some of those guys. What kind of cars are in the parking lot? Are there four-wheel drive with a 30-30 in the back window? And believe me, in parts of the country, that is exactly what they have. Now, you get in trouble doing this, but I used to check to see if they lock the cars. But I mean, you get in trouble now because people think you're going to steal or some shit, but I used to check to see if they lock the cars. Because if they don't lock the truck and there's a 30-30 rifle in the fucking back window, their idea about law enforcement is different. Okay? I try to find out where he lives in relationship to his brewery. Does he live in, a fancy area, or does he live in a working class area? Okay, so now I'm in, and he's there, and I've assimilated all this information. Is he on time? Or does he keep, does the peckerhead keep me waiting? And I'm not dressed the part now, but I would be in my uniform, my business uniform, and I'm wearing a suit, and I always wear a three-piece suit, so that's not different for me. You wear a two-piece suit or whatever, so I wouldn't be dressed up like Santa Claus like I am today. Is he?
Even though you know he's going to be the Jesus.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I've done this a lot of times all over the world. Oh, I didn't know it was going to be a meeting. Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know that. Oh, that's all right. And I always say, oh, I understand. I really don't, but I say I understand. How does he shake hands? Like a couple of you shake hands. Give me your hand. Let me hand, Vincent. Okay. Some of you took a class where you somehow try to get a bigger grip. I don't know who the fuck ever taught you to do that. But I mean, does he shake hard? Is it just a firm shake? The ones that kill me are the women that try to give a man shake. What I want to do is just slap them, Is that a class? Do they teach you how to do it? Why the fuck would you do that,
I have learned lacrosse too.
Pardon?
They may have been on a lacrosse team.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, I didn't think of that. Because I know women have an advantage in this. They just got a flat fucking advantage. Professionally, they don't have to, it's not sexual or anything. They have an advantage. Because most men underestimate women. They don't think they're as smart, whatever, wrongfully. And so if I was a reasonably good-looking woman, I'd take advantage of that. Even if you're an ugly hag, you got an advantage. Now, if you weigh 700 pounds and you got a big wart on the side of your face, and you look like, now you don't have an advantage. Okay? You don't. And your daddy may have left you the brewery. Okay, so how do they shake hands? So he's on time, and he said, does he sit down, or does he ask you, please be seated? If you're going into a boardroom, always sit with your back towards the window. If the boardroom was this way, I'd sit with that window at my back. Why?
So they can squint.
No. Why do you think gunfighters enter the street with the sun at their back? Correct. So with the boys, I'd be sitting like this, facing this way. And sit at the head of the table. Take control. And then when the guns start, bam, 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 he can't get because of the light in his eye. But anyway, now that doesn't happen anymore. Those were the good old days. So, And you come and they say, okay, Mr. Jones, thank you very much for your time. You got a very nice operation. I got here a few minutes early. I drove around. What you do, you get there a few minutes early and you drive it fucking around. And if you got a meeting in the morning and you're flying, get there the day before. I mean, when people used to say, well, I missed my plane or they canceled the plane, I didn't want to talk to them. Fuck. Well, you should have come early, asshole. You should have come early. Okay, so you've got a nice operation and, you know, I see the fence goes out. I mean, there's all these 20, 30 acres yours or just, and he'll be proud as punch to tell you. And now, do breweries have security?
I mean, I'm sure they do.
Well, we've got security. Oh, yeah. I mean, I make a little joke, you know, are you guarding the patents or this and that? Or, you know, bullshit. You sit down. Thank you very much. I sent you some preliminary information. I sent it early. In fact, we talked to your assistant, and she said that she wasn't positive if you had time to read it, but it's just a short executive summary, and it says who we are, who's part of the investment group, and our experience in the brewery business. A good portion of our experience comes from big breweries, you know, the guys that you're taking market share away from. And we have really just a minimal amount of experience in the micro business. And that's what we're trying to expand into with our investment group. And are there any questions on anything that if you had time to read it? If not, I can just give you a 2-minute short synopsis. Now, if he did read it, he may say, no, I pretty much understand. You got a very impressive group. I mean, 116 years or whatever it is of experience. In fact, they may know somebody, but you get through that bullshit. And we want to acquire microbreweries in the northeastern, western United States, wherever it is. Wherever he is, that's where you want to acquire. Doesn't make a shit where it is. If it's in, you know, Peckerhead, fucking Kansas. That's where, okay. Because you're there, right? And if there's any lull in the conversation, which there normally was, I see that you were at Machu Picchu. Like the picture back there with David. Machu Picchu, which is in Peru. Oh, yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck if it's, whatever it is. You see that. And he says, I went there for our 40th wedding anniversary, whatever the fuck it was. Okay. The numbers that are in the public domain, and you always, when you say that you're going to know something about his business, it's because it was in the public domain, not because somebody stole it and gave it to you. Most of the guys that own these companies don't know what's in the fucking public domain, or if it's not in the public domain. I see that, you know, you've been having accelerated growth last 3 or 4 years. That's exactly what we're looking for. And we would be very interested to talk about taking a position. You don't say sell out a majority, you just say take a position. That's how you start the conversation. And he'll either say, well, we really haven't thought about it, which is a fucking lie. But anyway, we really hadn't thought about it. And, you know, it's, everybody wants, and if he says, you know, we have 4 or 5 more years of growth built in. Yes, I understand that. But, you know, even the most remote sales starts with a conversation. I used to say that. People like that. Even though it was against my personality, even the most remote possibility of a divestiture, because some of these guys don't like the word sale. Even the most remote possibility about a divestiture, I know that's a big word for some of you guys, and especially the YouTube fucks, starts with a first conversation. Okay? So far you've done, they think you're a professional. You trick-fucked them. You trick-fucked them in a professional way. And then he'll talk, or he won't talk, depending on where he really is. Or if, like most people, you got to think about it, because most people can't think that quickly on their feet. That's why it's better if you can verify that they read the fucking executive summary you sent. And let me back up. Before the meeting, I'd have Kim, or not Kim, but whoever I had at that time, call to say, email it to the assistant and say, could you ensure that maybe put it on the top of his reading pile or whatever it is. And one assistant to another assistant will get some results. We've got kids that actually go by, depending where they are, and actually hand carry it. And like in the Wall Street, the movie, cigars, all that shit works. I still don't understand why, because it's not my personality, but it does work. That's how you get in, because he gave me the entree that he was already had an appointment. And all that should take no more than 15 minutes. Maximum. Unless, like the guys on the phone the last couple of days, by some stroke of irony, you happen to know everybody that ever helped him in life. But if you do, then milk it. Milk them until the legs fall, until the udders fall out off the cow. And once in a while that'll happen. Or once in a while you'll have a director that knows the guy from his days at Anheuser-Busch or some crap like that. And we use everything that's legitimate. And then sometimes like Dennis Emir, the Babson guy, who's probably the Babson graduate school is probably as good, got one of the top 10 alumni for business schools in America. I mean, the people that come out of that school, I mean, he's got a fucking gigantic amount of people to call. And so, and then he, it's easier, or your daddies went to school together, you went to the same school, and all that shit works. And if you have it, use it. But it's not necessary. It's not necessary. Some of the guys up there, didn't go any place. And some of them went to Harvard. Some of them have no degrees, and some of them are PhDs, So that part doesn't matter. So don't be intimidated by that. And the problem with LinkedIn, I think it's 99% great vehicle. But the problem is, I see from you kids, is when you find a guy or a gal that fits your parameters, you get too awestruck by their fucking resume. Just remember, they wouldn't have their fucking name in there if they didn't want another job. If they didn't want a directorship, they wouldn't be there. I know guys, my contemporaries, that they wouldn't touch LinkedIn with a barge pole, as they say in this country. Fuck, what do I want that shit for? Fucking morons contacting me? So, you're on Madison Avenue and she's wearing a skirt up to here and it's 4 below zero. She's there for a reason. It's not to make small talk. So everybody on LinkedIn, is there for a reason. So don't be so awestruck by their resumes. I spot check the resumes, or I don't anymore, but I used to spot check them. The easiest place to spot check, the guy supposedly got an MBA at Columbia. I mean, it takes 5 minutes. Checking on Sam Jones, Graduate School of Business, MBA, Columbia, 61, or whatever the year is. And if that's a no, next. That's it. There is. Now, if it's really 62 instead of 61, I mean, some bullshit, that's okay. But I mean, no, we never heard him or her, then it's next. And And the same thing, well, they don't normally list that they got sanctioned by the Security Exchange Commission on their LinkedIn. But after talking to them, like Cures had a couple where they got in trouble, but I wasn't named in the indictment. Next, I wasn't named in the indictment. That means he had a good lawyer that copped the plea that he wasn't named in the indictment. That's all that means. I wasn't named in the. I forget how you phrase it to me, Cure, but that was next. But he's big hitter. Next. And then normally, that person has already referred 3 people to you. One of which might be the accountants. And, you know, he only missed jail by the skin of his ass, like Weed Man, you know. He happened to get out the alley and, you know, jump on his motorcycle and head off into the weeds, you know, ahead of the law. So next, I mean, there's too many people on there. You know, I haven't done this in maybe a year, but I printed out pharmaceuticals. What did I put? Because I wanted to see what ARIA, you know. I printed out and I had, you know, 600 people or 508. I mean, I didn't refine the search. I didn't go through it. But I mean, there's a lot of people. And you put in oil and gas, I mean, there's a gazillion. There's a gazillion. There's no reason to find a shortage of people for your dream team. And again, the most important is chairman. So I'm back with the guy in his room, and and guys that have built these things up with their own hands and, you know, sweat of their brow are proud of him, you know. And some of them really do want the purchaser or acquirer to take care of, etc. But my experience is if they want that, it's up to a limit based on who's getting the money for the company. They may want you to keep them on and not fire them, but they're not going to give them 1/4, not 1 centavo of the sales price. Not one. Not one motherfucking penny of the sales price. And it's the whole difference between the QLA model and everybody else. The QLA model is from the chairman down to the guy that sweeps the floor, gets money. Gets money. And I've seen acquisitions that they forgot the previous owner in the first week because now they got options in the new deal. They couldn't remember the asshole's name. Because money talks and bullshit walks. And if there's a potential to make these people better off than they are, not even wealthy. I mean, I'm talking about the lower people. I mean, they appreciate that. You know, both Clinton and Trump are saying that, or Trump is, Clinton's not, is saying something to the effect that the GDP is growing at 1% or less in the last 10 years, and that this is the worst GDP growth since the late 40s, which I think is true. Federal Reserve and a few other people have said, and this is in the United States. And that the average wage is the same as it was in 1983 or 1988 or something. So that means there's been relatively no growth or zero growth. And in some parts of the United States, negative growth. And so when you step into an organization that's got 500 employees or whatever, if that's what they're used to, they're looking to anything that's got upside. And a lot of the people that you're in this business or in any business that you're going to go and look to acquire are just happy with a $10 million brewery, you know, making a certain amount of money and feeding all his personal expenses through the business, which is the way it goes. And they're just happy with that. Okay, so now he says, well, you know, I have to think about it. And he may say he wants to talk to his wife. He may want to say he wants to talk to his fellow board members. If he has an ESOP, which is an employee stock option plan with his employees, you know, I'd have to talk to the ESOP representative, which are all legit, okay? If he says shit like that, that's positive. That's positive. And that's about all you can accomplish on that first meeting. Okay, you don't get out your agenda and read. Are you going to take back such and such? You want to know if they're now the fact that he's seeing you is that he's open to the idea. Now, when there's a second meeting, then he's not only open to the idea. He's thought about what can I sell this hog for, and that's when you really start putting on the harder press. So I'm going to go to that meeting. There's the next meeting.
Before leaving that first meeting, given the scenario you just gave, you say, "Hey, I'll be back. We're going to be in the area in a week. You want to have?"
No, and I'll say no, because you will have asked him some questions. He said he's going to have to, get the information. I said, I prefer one-on-one. I'm back in the northeastern United States in 3 weeks, or I'm here looking at opportunities for the next 2 weeks. I can be back next week. You want him to know that you're looking at other opportunities. Other opportunities. He may say, "Well, I mean, who else are you talking to?" I said, "Well, that's confidential. I wouldn't be telling people that I'm here. So I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't or I won't tell you." And
you could only get back to you.
You get back to him anyway.
You get back to him.
Absolutely. So now it's a week, 10 days later. You haven't heard from him. "Hi, Mr. Jones," and now the receptionist will put you through because you gave her a card or some bullshit. And hi, this is Johnny Peckerwood. We met 10 days ago. "Oh yeah. I'm back in the Northeast. We're looking at a lot of opportunities. I'd love to come back and visit with you to see what thought you've given it." Now, if they've given no thought or they're not interested, there won't be a second meeting. There won't be. If they have given it thought, they'll say yes. And you were going to touch base with the ESOP representative. Do you think? And he'll say, yeah. I'll tell you what that happened, or what the result of that was when I see you. And then he may, ask you to come to lunch, yada yada. And then, although I don't like lunch and breakfast meetings because I think they're a waste of time, if they want you to come to lunch, then then you go. Now, depending on your own presentation skills and depending on your own ability, how numerate you are, numbers-wise, see, Alex can go to these meetings on his own because he knows who's on first. Some of you that can't spell numbers should bring a director along, preferably your CFO and or industry expert. You need somebody that knows how to talk turkey. Not turkey meaning about the industry, the deal. And if you got a guy that was at Anheuser-Busch with him 18 years before, whenever, that's the guy you bring. Whether he's the numbers guy, he would be an industry expert because he was at the brewery with him. That's the guy you drag along. Because all of a sudden, it's just like that guy I talked to. I really wasn't leaning that way, but now I feel at home and blah, 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 blah. And so now you're back. Same boat, come the day before, same thing. And have your little speech ironed out with your guy that you're bringing, or gal, whoever it is. And you come early, same thing again. And and he may or may not have somebody there. If he's an iron-fisted guy, he started the company, he owns all the stock, there may be nobody there. Because he's used to, for all these years, making his own decisions. He's not interested in anybody's fucking opinion. There's plenty of those guys. And when you bring somebody that from Anheuser-Busch or whatever, the conversation will take on a new life. And just like the conversations I had. And then you just sit back and keep your fucking mouth shut and keep your agendas up your skirt and don't show anybody, Kira. And then there'll be a lull in the conversations. Oh, God, I'm glad you guys got along. You know each other. What are your feelings? And then it'll start unpeeling like an onion. Well, we might consider a minority stake, yada, yada. Oh, we might live with that. What do you have in mind? And probably at the segment, well, let me show you around. And I've looked at I didn't look at any microbreweries. I looked at big breweries, big fuckers. And I mean, and when I was going to university, Anheuser-Busch, they stopped this because of student violence, but they used to open up the breweries Friday afternoon from 2 till 7, and you could go on tours of the breweries and get free beer.